Welcome, dirty peasants, to episode 91 of Wartwood Gazette, the Amphibia podcast. This is episode 91, and this week our topic is villains. I'm your host, Nambaticon, and join me today we have Impact.
Hey, what's good, everybody?
Alright, thanks, Impact, for coming on. No news this week, so we'll just go right into the topic for today. So before we start recording, Impact and I were kind of talking about how Amphibia doesn't have that many villains. Like there are a lot of like monsters here and there, but most of these like in terms of like I don't want to say intelligent, but like sentient villains.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind of low.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's not too many. But the good news is that the ones we do have, kind of you'll see like a recurring pattern where like they start off as villains and then they change a bit. So there's not a lot of there are villains, but there's also a lot of like they stop being villains, which is nice for amphibians.
yeah, a lot of redemption, a
Yeah,
lot of redemption in the show.
yeah, like the themes of change,
Yeah,
great stuff. So we can just go right into like the season one villains. Like we're kind of gonna be the villains we're kind of like gonna briefly touch on. We're not gonna spend too much time on them, but that doesn't mean that they weren't interesting. It's just that we just want to keep this under like 3 hours, I guess.
yeah,
Like looking back, I'm trying to think for the first season, our first true antagonist was
was it
Bog, I believe.
Bear? Was it Bog? Okay, I wasn't sure if Barry came first or yeah, no. Bog came first. Yeah. And
Yeah,
like, you want me to start talking about Bog or
yeah,
like?
sure, go ahead.
Okay, so like, Bog's interesting because he's kind of our first introduction to the Toads. We don't hear about them too much. We get like a glimpse of Grime. He seems a little scary with the one eye or whatever and stealing Anne's shoe, I guess. But like Toad is really our like Toad. Bog is really our first time we ever get like into what Toad culture is about. We kind of get the idea that the Toads are essentially they're cops pretty much. They're essentially cops. They stop the poor people. They keep the poor people in check, and they keep the status quo. They're cops. So like, yeah, and like, yeah, like Bog was kind of a way to kind of get the Toad's mentality as characters. He's not really much else. Bog and his gang. They come back later in Toad's Redemption, which is cool. I liked them like drifting off from Sasha. But like other than that, like not too much with Bog, but I think like he was a good like introduction to kind of the Toads as people in general. And that gets expanded upon later. So and plus like, the episode he's in itself is like great. You see like Bog like kind of acting like, oh, he has to do this stuff to keep the status quo in check, or like things are the way they are because that's how they always were kind of mentality. So like even when Anne's like, hey yo, like maybe destroying people's property and like being jerks is wrong. Bog's like, I don't care, that's how things are and that's how they're gonna stay. Because again, in reinforcing the idea that the toads are the keepers of the status quo. That's their job. They're not really there to defend the frogs. They're there to keep them in line, to stop them from like progressing and moving forward. So yeah, like Bog gives a good representation of that. So I like him, and I like his like appearance then in Total Redemption. and then he just like disappears from the show. I don't know what that was about. That was weird. So like, yeah, solid character.
Yeah, we were all kind of like disappointed when Bog didn't really get that final. Yeah, you remember him, Pat. Like he does show up in the finale, just like as a
Like,
background
nah,
character. Yeah, like it's not the same.
that doesn't
Eh.
count. Yeah, and it's weird because he set him up. Like they set him up until the redemption too. Like it's just very strange. I already talked about it before, but it's like those are one of those things that's just like strange. Like for out of all like the season one characters to not come back, I'm surprised Bog didn't. I don't even know what his like what purpose he would serve because Beatrix kind of fills a similar role in the Toad category compared to him, I guess. So maybe they just thought Bog would be repetitive. That might have been the case the more I think about it, because like Tritonio at least gets us the newts, right? And then Beatrix gets us the toads. But like I guess Bog could have like gotten we could have gotten like some like other rogue squad or like the captured toads. That would have been interesting to see. I don't know. There's definitely potential for him to show up. It's just a shame we never got him. We never even got like Bog to see like redeemed Sasha and Grime or anything. Very like very big missed opportunity with the character. And he's not like crazy interesting. He's not like super in depth or three dimensional like Andreas or Sasha, but like he was still like a cool character. I'm surprised they just said fuck it, like just put him in the background in one shot that you can barely see. You'll probably miss. So yeah,
Yeah, and yeah, we'll touch on Beatrix later too. And even like so, Bog was kind of like our first villain, and then the episode right after with Prison Break, we got Grime, but we'll kind of touch on Grime we'll cover Grime once we go through the other like minor villains. And then
and we won't cover Sasha because like we already did her in a whole episode.
yeah,
So
and most of the season, like the second half of season one, we get more like sentient villains. So you got like the clown guy Barry, who
yeah.
I did not expect to show up in in season three. That was surprising.
Yeah. That was legitimately like the biggest plot twist of the season. Like that not really, but like it threw me for a loop because like Barry out of all characters you think wouldn't come back cuz he's kind of like Barry in his first appearance he's like just a petty douchebag.
Hmm.
That's kind of like his thing. He leads to some funny moments with like Bird Ann and such. And we get more Maddie in that episode. And we don't really get like a lot of like how the magic works in Amphibia thanks to him. Like in general. So but the fact that we even get like we kind of get introduced to magic, but it's not like hard magic. Amphibia doesn't really have that. Like it's very soft, like Maddie just throws a dust at him and something happens. Like it's not like super duper specific, but I like that he gives us like a peep into that world of Amphibia, and then Maddie gets to be the one to expand all that jazz. So yeah, I think Barry's is kind of all right. I don't really have much to say about him personality wise. He's kind of just okay, but he
Hmm.
adds that to the show.
Yeah, like I forgot that he was like that episode was kind of like the first introduction of like magic into the show, but it's more like what I Amphibious magic is more like I don't want to say low level, but like mostly like it's not too over the top. It's very like hexes and grungy. Is grungy a word?
Yeah,
It feels like a word, but I'm not
yeah, and that is the word. Grungy
grunge.
is a word.
I'm looking up what it means.
Grunge. Well, grungy is a word.
Shabby or dirty in character or condition. Yeah, I
There
guess.
you go.
Okay.
Expanded vocabulary.
Hmm. So we had
I
Barry.
think
Oh,
like
go ahead.
I was gonna say it's interesting because like a little bit off tangent, but it's like magic is something that I always wondered if magic was something ancient Utopia used to study, because it's like it's a part of Amphibia and like its history and stuff, but it's like when we get ancient Amphibia, it's always robotics and such, and like experimenting on like things from other worlds. Makes me wonder. But well, okay, well we do have magic with the gems, but like I wonder if like low level magic, or there was even like high level magic in ancient Amphibia. I don't think we'll ever get the answer to that question, but like it's something to think about.
Yeah. And then we also had, I'm trying to think from season one, we had uh what's the name of like Mrs. Croker's stalker?
Oh my God, I don't remember. I think it's like I forget his name. Damn it.
Yeah, I can't remember, but basically
Oh.
he was a creep, and then when Mrs. Croker called him a pervert, that's kind of what saved the episode for me because I did not expect him to say that on TV. Uh, Also, another minor villain, there was like Monroe. He was kind of set up as Hop Pop's rival early in season one, as in Hop Pop and Lock, like the dance off episode with Sylvia. And we were joking about
And
how
then the
like,
man just
sorry, go ahead.
no, you go, you go, you
Oh,
go.
I was gonna say how like Nick and I were joking about how like Hop Pop just like Hop Pop humiliated himself, but after he won over Sylvia, it's like Hop Pop like owned Monroe so badly that he like disappeared from the show for the rest of the series. Like and like Spriggle's like saying like, oh, Monroe like always does everything better than Hop Pop or something, and it's like he never shows up again because Hop Pop like freaking destroyed him at that dance battle.
I think he shows up in the background of like Spivey or
Yeah,
something. Like, yeah, but like that doesn't count.
but that's the only time he,
You
like
know, like
yeah, like even for background characters, he didn't show up in season two. Like it was until season three where he showed up as a background character, which was interesting for me
yeah.
because it was so like so. Anyways, there's also so I talked about the stalker Monroe. I'm trying to think of like other like small villains. I mean, Toadstool is
Antonio.
yeah, Tritonio like he was a fan favorite and like everyone was kind of like it wasn't a matter of if he was coming back, it was when because he was that like
When?
yeah, he was that popular. Like even after season one, we were all thinking like, oh, Chito's like gotta make a comeback. Even if our reasoning was kind of weird because like the train they were stealing had like Newtopian treasury, so people were thinking, oh, like that's an opportunity for Tritonio to show up again. But even though that wasn't the case, we all kind of suspected like, okay, like he is way too like iconic of a character to like not show up again.
Yeah, and like it's kind of interesting because Tritonio isn't really a like he's a bad guy for the whole episode, but like he's like challenging Anne in a different way than most characters, if that makes sense. Like his lesson to Anne is like actually real. Like like that helps the character move forward in the future. So it's like even though like Tritonio like gets like one appearance in season one, it really counts. It's one of the better episodes like in season one in general. It's a big point for Anne's growth. She learns sword fighting and like and it's all kind of thanks to Tritonio like challenging the character a bit. So yeah, like Tritonio always stood out compared to other bad guys in season one in general. Besides like obviously Sasha and Grime, but like they're their own like beast. So
That's true, but you forgot the other standout character of season one, which was Apothecary Gary. because just like it was their fun way of having like their zombie like a zombie episode, and just like I mean I've never really cared about making this podcast like I remember I used to say like okay let's try not to swear in our recordings and like not be too inappropriate, but like
Well,
dude
like
like
I think I might have,
yeah no but like when I Apothecary Gary's design like is very phallic in nature. Like like and to be honest, like I didn't think about it for a while. It's only when I finally convinced my sister to watch like an episode with me and I chose like end of the year like she didn't care about spoilers or whatever. Like so if I'm getting the chance to like try and hook someone like I was going with like the last two episodes. So I showed her like Children of the Spore, End of the Year, and then like Reunion. And like the moment Apothecary Gary shows up, she's like, "This looks like a penis."
It does though. It does.
It
Like
does, and I don't know. Like, I would have expected them to give like to make the design like a wider like like shrooms can be like kind of wider, so like maybe like the top is a bit wider or not. But no, like they made that.
I don't like it's I feel like I had that thought too when I was first watching it, but I was like, oh, whatever. Like, like maybe the designers noticed too, but it's like it's not actually
And
phallic,
then
so
Bessie's
it's
eating
like
it at the end.
stop.
And then like making it like they're putting it like in shadow because they're trying to make it like a horror movie like the villains dying like the villains dying but it's too graphic so they show it in shadows. But it's like okay, so design aside, I just liked how Apothecary Gary like the because we've seen these episodes of Amphibia where it's like Sprig and Anne do something dumb, and then Hop Pop gets mad at them, like tried and true formula. But it's like I like how Polly like described in the episode. It's like oh like we kind of just goofed around. You like crossed multiple like ethical lines. It's like yeah, but when you watch the episode, you're like, okay, like I can kind of see where Hop Hop's coming from, but then it just escalates.
Like
uh,
a ridiculous degree. Yeah, and Gary's funny because it's like he what's the word? Like I don't know. I just find the character funny. I think when we get to like the root of evil, like I will say Apothecary Gary is like kind of just okay in that episode. I'm not the biggest fan of Root of Evil, to be honest. I think it's kind of okay. Like,
what?
yeah, that is how I feel about it. I think it's just kind of
Well,
as a hop
that
pop episode. But
that
anyway,
concludes this week's episode of Wartwood Gazette. Thank you for listening.
yeah.
Tune in next week where Nick returns because Impact is no longer with us. No, but that's fine. Like, yeah, Apothecary Gary becomes less of a villain by the time we get to Root of Evil. That's fair. He's more of just like
I
a
mean, he's still doing villainous crap. He still captures like the gang or whatever, and like is about to kill them. Like he's
the
still a bad guy.
okay
Like
the in I remember because at the same time I think Owl House was airing as I think 3B.
yeah,
So I think while they're like while everyone was watching the Owl House, like Nick and I were kind of just like yo, if Amphibia is like on demand, let's just watch that instead. and then and then when they open the, because Root of Evil, like we were debating like who it might be about, like if it's going to be about Apothecary Gary, um that turnip with the big butt, uh, and there was another possible. Oh, I think Root of Evil. We were thinking it might be a core episode or something.
Yeah. I think that was a lot of the fandom's thought too. It was like, oh, it's like a backstory episode, like kind of thing with the core and the king, but nah.
But like the moment
We
they
got
got into
Apothecary
that
Gary.
town and like they were all wearing hats, I was like messaging Nick. I was like, I have a feeling. I have a feeling about this episode. And then like the intro for the Apothecary Gary were like they walk to see the leader and like it's also like all the purple mushrooms like light up. Like that was a great intro. But then yeah, after that I
Yeah,
think Apothecary Gary like loses his like fear factor.
yeah. But I liked what he. I think like I remember at the time like people thought like Gary was gonna have something to do since he had all the mind control stuff. I think there was some theories that like Gary was gonna help in some way in like stopping like Marcy from getting possessed or something. I forget exactly the theory what it was. It was something like that at the time. So, but yeah, it's like, oh, and it was interesting too that like the spores were used like Gary's spores are like used throughout the rest of 3B though. Like I thought he wasn't gonna come back because we were already using him kind of like throughout the season. You know what I mean? So it was still like a surprise when he did come back up in 3B.
Yeah, because I think the first episode when they mention that the animals are being mind controlled, I think because it was like the purple eyes, I think that's when we were kind of thinking about the spores being used, and they don't really address it on
Yeah,
the
they mention
show.
it.
Yeah, they mention it.
Wait, they do.
No, no, like sorry,
Yeah,
I meant
they
like
mention it.
they don't mention the actual like source of the spores. They just kind of show like a little like Andres had his like own kind of oh sorry, they do mention the episode that like it's like another like species, like another member of Gary's
Yeah,
species. And then they end up like
yeah. We never see them specifically, but I
it
know
was in a background shot with Gary like
yeah,
reunited
like
with some random like spore.
yeah. I think like in that episode, like I think in Commander and like and Sasha goes like they're using some kind of mushroom thingy majiggy, and like Anne and like Sprig and Polly like all look to Hot Pop. So like they still like reference. They don't mention Apothecary Gary, but like they reference the fact that Hot Pop did use the spores before. So it's like from that point, I always just assumed like, oh, like okay, like Gary's part of the show is like kind of already used. We might use it for something else, but that wasn't the case. And then we got Root of Evil, and then bada bing. So
Yes. And I think we
yeah,
covered all of the season 1 villains.
yeah.
Okay.
Besides Grime, but we'll get to him later.
Yeah. Like season 2 we kind of had so on the road to Newtopia, we got like a few minor villains too. Like we had from a caravan named Desire, we had Renee. Nothing stands out too much about her. Just like she was like an
Yeah, I
actress.
don't have much to say about
Yeah.
Renee.
We also had we had the curator. So this was the from Wax Museum. This was basically the Grunkle Stan frog version, and he was fun. He was like he was. It was nice seeing like the Grunkle Stan without his like redeeming qualities, which were his
Yeah,
like his love for his family. So this is just Grunkle Stan, the showman, the showman, the
yeah, like
charlatan.
that. Yeah. He was fun.
Yeah, like yeah, I don't really have much to add. Like, there's not much,
I don't.
nothing deep
Yeah,
about him.
yeah. There isn't much to add for a lot of season 2 villains. Like we got Yunnan, but it's like Yunan's weird in like her first introduction because I like Yunnan. I think she's introduced really well. I like her gimmick of like saying her name like 1,000 times. That was funny. I think like it was fun getting more like expansion on like Utopia as a place. 'Cause I think we talked about it before, but like Yunnan is like our first real introduction to Newtopia. We get like hints and pieces, but like how Newtopia works with the rest of the world is something we don't know yet. And we really wouldn't get that with Anne and Marcy. So like in their perspectives, so Yunnan kind of adds like that nice like not perspective shift, but like it gives us a better idea of how the newts work with the toads and why the toads would want to be like, hey, fuck the newts, let's take over or whatever, I guess.
She's like the Bog
So
of
like
season 2.
yeah, exactly. She is the bog of season 2. Damn, that's actually a good like
Hmm.
oh well, okay. Yeah. Like so I like Yunnan for that, and she's funny. And like even though I do feel like Yunnan in this episode and Yunnan and Olivia and Yunnan feel like different people a bit. Like not too much, but like nah, okay, hold on, wait.
No, I get, because I
Not
feel like
too much.
because Yunnan in her debut episode feels more like a meme, and then Yunnan in season 3 is like more of like a character. But the thing is that they
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
feel Yunnan season 3, like, to like, in my opinion, doesn't really feel like season 2 Yunnan. And I'm not sure if it's like a good thing
Yeah.
or bad thing, because I feel like when she was pretty funny as like a meme, but but
I liked Yunnan as a more oh sorry, I thought
no,
I
no,
cut
I
you off.
I don't have much else to say. It's just like I wish there was more of like, I don't want to say I wanted season 2 Yunnan to be like more tame like season 3, but like, or maybe season 3 Yunnan has more of season
I
two's energy.
I think like I like season. I think season 3 Yunnan still has season 2 energy. Like when she's like dodging the robots or whatever and stuff. I think that still exists. That goofy slash sadistic part of the character. It's
Hmm.
still very much there. But like I like the Livia Yunnan season 3 Yunnan. Let me just say that a little better. Like I like her character in that episode because you can tell Yunnan has like she's a little crazy and like daring, but like she also has like what's the word like Yunnan still has like a code to follow. She's still like I'm not working for some crazy ass king. Like we're gonna stop this right now. Like that's cool. Like that's like that's very different from someone like say like Prime or Bog, for example, where like Yunnan still like even though like she's having too much fun with her job of like taking out Grime, she still wants to like save Amphibia, if that makes sense, even if it's kind of for just for her own ego, which still again works well with the character. Like so like yeah, I kind of like season 3 Yunnan better, and like Owen Y is just a good episode for like Olivia and Yunnan just in general. So yeah,
Yeah, that's
like
true. Yeah.
Yunan's a good character. It's weird because I don't feel like that upset that she didn't have more screen time. I was always like pretty satisfied with it.
Oh
Like
yeah, I
I never
didn't
I,
need, like, even like with most of these villains, like I felt like I didn't need,
more.
yeah, I didn't need more.
Well,
It would have been
besides like
nice. Yeah, it would have been nice if they showed up more, but like I didn't, it doesn't bother me too much.
yeah, I mean there's one villain I think that even like majority of the fandom is like you should have showed up a little more, but we'll get to them
Yeah, I mean,
when we get there. So
are you talking about Darcy
yeah,
or the core?
the core, yeah,
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Uh,
yeah.
who else in season 2? We had Yeah, we already covered Yunnan, and then Andrews like that. We'll
Oh,
cover him later or soon. Um,
yeah.
so I think we can start talking about Grime then.
Yeah.
Okay, so Grime, I Grime was a great villain in season one. He didn't show up too much. Like he only had two appearances basically. I'm not counting
Yeah.
Best Friends, but Grime was the right villain at the right time. And this is me kind of gushing more about Grime season one. Like he is like a fun antagonist like throughout the show, and until like kind of becomes like a character with like a supporting character with the heroes. But I feel like season one Grime I think is underrated with like how
Ooh.
much gravitas he kind of carried by the time we get to reunion. Some of his quotes, like are like okay. For example, in reunion, like and it's like, oh, there has to be another way, and then Grimes like, there is no other way. This is our way of life at stake. Like our way of life is at stake. And like,
Steak.
and you're
Yeah.
like, damn, like, and what else is there? Like, and then when Sasha and Anne start like squabbling, like Grimes like fail and nothing will ever be the same again. And it's
Ever
like,
same. Yeah. That's such a raw line. It's so good. Like, and even like his like even his interaction with Sasha at the end of like Prison Break is so good. When he like when he knows like what's the word? Like he says like what is it? What is it? Like he tries to stop Sasha from leaving, but he's like, "Nah, I know I can't stop you." He's like, I forget the exact line. Like he kind of gives Sasha like a choice. Like, do you want to work like here? Or do you want to just be a vagabond? Like wander off in the wilderness or whatever? Like scenes like that are really cool because you're seeing like Grime as a character kind of get better at Sasha's own game as a character. He's becoming more confident as a villain, which is fun because then like when season 2 shows up, you see him become a little bit more of like the schemer, like kind of archetype, which like compared to like Sasha, it like reverses. I think I talked about this before. But like Rhyme is the one who like he's like a little depressed after Toad Tower being destroyed. But after that, like once Sasha kind of gets him up and running, like he is like fully on the path. Like we're gonna take over in Utopia. We're gonna like rally everybody, whatever, yada yada. Like, and even like after they lose in True Colors, Grime is like, okay, we're gonna go back and like he's like GG's go next. Like we're gonna try that again. Like I don't know, Grime like he changes throughout the season, but I think like you're right. The season one is like kind of his best moments as a character. I do think he becomes a little less villainous, but like he's still very much like schemery as the series moves on. But that kind of changes. I'm not sure how I feel about those changes, but like yeah,
I do think like season one, like Grime is like, I don't want to call him the big fish, but he was like a moderately sized fish in a little pond. Like, and like you mentioned, like he does become like a better villain between seasons one and two, like because of Sasha.
yeah,
Like you can already tell, like he's like the strongest toad there, but like in terms of actually leading and coordinating, like there's a lot of room for improvement, which is like what Sasha's there
he's
for.
trash. Yeah,
So like once like Sasha
yeah,
fixes that about him, then he becomes like a threat for our characters. And
yeah, and it's oh you keep going.
like his reintroduction in season one, like at the end of the year, like is like such like an iconic like closer for me. Just like the way like like his eyes and teeth are like lighting up the darkness, and then all the other toads like eyes light up red. Like it's just such a great like closer before you get to the finale.
Yeah, and I think you made a good point too about Grime being like the biggest dude we know now because we don't really know anything about like Newtopia or anything else. Like it's kind of like interesting because I feel like for most I feel like if in only a perspective of season 1, Grime is like a huge big deal. And I think season 1 always did a good job of making like Grime feel that way because again, we don't see outside of Amphibia. But also because like I don't know, there's like a lot more gravity to Reunion, I feel like, than like not True Colors, but like other parts of the show. It feels like this small conflict is like a bigger deal. I wouldn't say other parts of the show, but like there's less like flashy crap going on. Reunion feels like yeah, it's more character driven. It's like it feels a lot more like dense and Grime gets to be like the top of the food chain for a while, which honestly I kind of like I miss that. I miss that vibe of Grime because I only really could get that when I first watched the show in season 1 or when you rewatch season 1. Like right after season like 2 and 3 there's always like much bigger bad guys to deal with. There's much bigger fish now. Like we got Andrus, we got the freaking core. Like so, I don't know. Like it's
Like without going too
I
far
don't
like
know.
off topic, like I do think that with season 2 and 3, it's like there's like this high stakes world ending drama happening. Sorry, like high stakes event happening where there's like a personal drama taking place inside of it. But Reunion feels like the personal drama and the high stakes like situation around them feel kind of like they go hand in hand. And then
Yeah.
you still get like the backdrop of like Sasha telling Anne like, okay, like what's happening here, there's more happening like beyond Frog Valley. So you still get that sense of scope.
Yeah, and like yeah, exactly. And it just adds to like Grime as a character overall. Cause again, the toads are like they set up the toads really well too, like with Bog and stuff. Like and we get Toad Tower itself. Like it's man, I think you might be right that Grime's best appearance is season 1 because I'm
Yeah,
thinking about it now. I'm
because
like,
when Sasha's talking to
wow.
Anne and when Hop Hop, sorry, when Sasha's telling Anne about like not Toad Rebellion, the Frog Rebellion, like causing the Toads to be kind of like overwhelmed, and then you kind of get Grime telling Hop Hop that like and Anne that what they're doing is kind of like threatening the status quo. It's just like a very fantastic way of like our our villains aren't afraid like the villains aren't afraid of our heroes. They're afraid of what their actions are doing kind of.
Yeah. Like they're afraid of change. Yeah, like it's yeah, and I think like season 1, like because we're in the valley for so long, that stake. I mean, I'm repeating myself, but that stake feels more important. Like I feel like with like season 3, because you know what, I'll save that for Andres and the core. But like, yeah, that's a good point.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of gushing about Grime for so long, yeah, and then like you went into all like the reunion stuff. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
Chuck, that video you posted, I need to watch that analysis or whatever that thing is, because like watching more Amphibia analysis is always great. Um,
yeah, And
But yeah, I think
then
we kind of covered Grimes season 1 and 2, and then season 3 he's more like a he's the grumpy uncle.
yeah, like well, in season two, Grime is like also like hilarious. The dinner is fucking so good. Like Grime had so many good jokes in that episode. It was like it was so good. Like like I don't think that's peak Grime, but that's so good as hell. Like and then season three is like interesting because Grime and Turning Point is like he's very like what's the word like not go getter, but like he's there like all right, whatever, we lost. Okay, GG's go next. We'll try again. Just go up, find Beatrix, eat Andreas. Bada bing, bada boom, will win. Like he's it's like he Grime loses way less than Sasha in True Colors. Like like Sasha's down at the dumps, but Grime is like let's go get him. But like after Turning Point, he saves Sasha. Like I like Grime in 3B. I think he's still fun, but it's like because I think Grime's pupil is really good. Like that's a great episode for him. I like Grime using like that skill Sasha taught him of like seeing people's strengths and their skills and not using it for manipulation but for teaching. That was cool. That was like a fun like difference between like Sasha and Grime and I that I like because with Sasha she uses that skill to lead people and like point them in the right direction, but Grimes using that to teach people and teach Sprig in that situation, which is cool. I don't feel like they do much else with it. I think there was a missed opportunity there with like the Sasha Darcy fight, but like yeah.
Oh yeah, before we get into that, like I do think yeah, Grimes' pupil I think a very well was a very organic episode for Grime because like he is a warrior. He was taught by Sasha to be like to kind of be more like of a to be more observant of other people's like skills and whatever. And then yeah,
Yeah.
and then like so then he's able to train Sprig like and it feels like natural. Like it makes sense by the end. It doesn't
Yeah.
become like it's not like Grime is just like the strong character and then now he needs to teach someone. Like at least because it's like 11-minute segment, they don't need to do too much like setup. And yeah, of course they have
Yeah.
like
And
and then even the conflict between them, it's not like it's not about oh like I don't want to train like this kid or whatever. I'm not a teacher. It's more like oh this kid beat my ass and I don't want to like I don't want to have anything to do with him. Like
yeah, and like it was crazy because like the fight between Sprig and Grime, no one talks about like ever, and like at least what I notice. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I haven't been paying attention enough. But like usually in True Colors, right? If you talk about the fights in that episode, it's usually like Anne fighting Andreas or something with her blue powers, or like Sasha and Anne fighting, right? Like Sprig and Grime wasn't like a fight that like I didn't forget about, but when it came back, I was like, yeah, that's genius. They did fight in Utopia, right? I remember that. Like it was such a natural way to give them conflict, but also that like it's to a certain degree, Grime also thinks it's because like Sprig is a frog. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't think he can handle this against a toad, right? Like that's like also a part of that conflict too, but like it just naturally fits. It doesn't feel like they have to like force an episode out of Grime, if that makes sense.
mhm.
That felt like really well thought out, like what they wanted for the character. So underrated episode. Grime's people is really good.
And since we're on the topic of Grimes people, I think we can just talk about Beatrix now. Um,
Oh yeah,
yeah, I think she was a fun villain. I'm
is she a villain? Does that count?
actually
Like,
that's true. Yeah, she's not a villain.
wait,
She's more of like a.
antagonist?
I mean,
Well, even then,
yeah,
like,
all these are antagonists, but like Like
There's a difference. Like,
no, like even for antagonists, like there could have been way more people we could have talked. Actually, we did talk about like Chitoni. He's more
yeah,
antagonist. Like the point
yeah,
of this video, like I think, is mostly
yeah,
like, yeah, I think Beatrix counts. Just like I know there's not much to
yeah,
say
yeah.
about
All
her,
right, all
but it's
right.
just like, yeah, she's Grimes' sister. They have that thing going on. Yeah, that's about it. Her design is cool.
Yeah, Beatrix is fun though. Yeah, Beatrix is cool. I like her a lot. I think like I don't. I like her. I like Beatrix. She's fun.
I don't know why
She was
both her
cool.
and Grime have like lost eyes.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
Yeah,
Maybe it's like a I don't know. Maybe it's just like a bad luck thing. Maybe they're cursed. There we go. I don't know. It would explain the glowing eye thing.
oh
No other
yeah,
toad has glowing
yeah. They
eyes.
never
So
explained
like,
that.
yeah, it's just like Grimes is that cool. He gets a glowing eye.
I remember like really early in season one. It's like that something like Grime was like had some sort of like magical kind of like upgrade. Oh yeah, we never get to know about Grimes' like gladiator past
Yeah, like because they mention it like in
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 Toadcatcher.
yeah, in Toadcatcher. I was about to forget that episode's name. My God, in Toadcatcher, like, and they make it like again naturally come back in Grimes' pupil really well. Yeah, we don't know too much. We just know he was like a champion. I think he was like really, really, really good. Though we don't know like where
No, it
they
was
fought.
no, it was
Like,
at Newtopia. Like Newtopia has like a gladiator arena, which I'm surprised they didn't
oh,
bring up.
huh.
They didn't bring that up in the show because like Newtopia's like a very like peaceful city, but they didn't. They have a coliseum in Utopia.
I forgot about that. Where's that at? Like, do we go to that in the
I
episode? I
think
forget.
Marcy
Like,
Marcy has like the map from the journal. It does like show it.
oh, okay. I completely forgot about that. I wonder if that's like a remnant of ancient Utopia. I'm always curious about that because I feel like that civilization would have more of that, but it probably is. But anyway, that's another tangent. But like, huh? Like, yeah. I guess. I mean, I don't think we ever needed to know about it. We just know we needed to know like Grime is like really good at it. He's like a
Hmm.
champion of it or whatever, something like that. So yeah,
And then, so yeah, we covered season one. We covered season two. Season three, we can kind of start talking about Cloakbot, or we can talk about Mister X first, because like that's human, and then Cloakbot's robotic, and then we can go to Andreas. Um,
yeah.
for
Do you
me,
want to go first,
I was just going to
Or
bring up how I know you've mentioned in the past, like Mister X is like because Anne's more mature in season three, so she's kind of going up against a villain that's kind of more childish, but still
Ye-
is kind of like can still outsmart her.
yeah, I think that's true. I never. I don't think I said that. Like, I think it's like I think like Mr. X is like really mid. He's like a really like he's like the most middle of the road character to me. Like he's not offensive, he's not terrible, but like I never really feel like Mr. X adds that much to the show that like no one else could do, if that makes sense. Like I don't know, he was always kind of boring. Like he doesn't really like I guess he causes conflict with like Anne and her parents or whatever, but like I don't know, Mr. X was always like he was kind of whack. I don't like Mr. X. He doesn't really like he has like one good episode where he's a villain and that's Escape to Amphibia and that's it.
Yeah,
And it's
I
like
agree that was his best
I
episode.
wouldn't yeah, and like he's good there. He's pretty solid. Like I like how he's challenging Anne. That's cool. Like okay, like I like that Anne has to like deal with someone with like significantly more resources than her, someone who's like outsmarting her at every time she goes. That's awesome. That's great. Because like Cloakbot couldn't really do that. You know, like it's not like Cloakbot's gonna like trick or like put Anne in a trap or something. You know what I mean? Like it's not like that. So yeah, Mr. X was kind of just meh. I think he gives Anne a good moment in the prison scene. I like that scene in Escape to Amphibia, but like I like the I don't know. I just feel like he's kind of just okay. He's not adding a ton to Anne's story besides like 1 to 2 fun scenes that honestly I think Andreas could also have done and better. If I want to be real for a sec. Like so I don't know. Mr. X is like a very mid character and his like first episode is like blah. It's okay. Eh. And then his second appearance in Hollywood Hot Pop, like it's good continuity cuz like in that episode, like that he figures out that it's Hot Pop because he first saw his disguise in Mr. X, so now he would know what he looks like outside of it in Hollywood Hot Pop. That was cool. That's good continuity, but it's like he does feel like kind of like a extra like oh we need an extra Mr. X appearance. Okay, just put him in this episode. All right, cool. Like he's just kind of he's mid. Mr. X is a mid character.
Would you say that he like outstays his welcome?
I think I would have. He doesn't outstay his welcome. He should have had a better welcome.
Okay, that's
Like
yeah,
he had, like
yeah. His
yeah,
debut
like he
episode
has three
was
episodes.
yeah.
He has time to work. Like. Oh, dumb, I cut you off.
No,
Sorry.
no, no. Like I was just gonna say, like his debut episode was like it was fun, but
Like,
didn't like because I know all these other villains we
oh,
talked about, like they didn't they weren't meant to have that much weight. So maybe that's why like I saw like I'm still fond of them, but like with Mr. X, like
mhm.
I can't really say the same thing because like he was meant to be a reoccurring villain.
Yeah, which is like a new thing in this season, pretty much. Like season 3 has like reoccurring bad guys that show up in multiple episodes. We didn't really have that before. Like Yunan would show up like in one episode as a villain, and then that's really it. She's not an antagonist again. Sasha shows up again, but like she's not like a consistent bad guy. It's not like she's like always attacking and the players like every like 1 or 2 episodes. You know what I mean? So like it it was fun to have that. I just think Mr. X doesn't have enough impact to the show, like to really make it like worth his screen time. Like it just like maybe he overstays his welcome, but I think he just needs a better welcome. His first episode is eh. Hollywood Hot Pop is and then like he's not even adding anything really to Hot Pop's story that like that a run of the mill like monster could add. That's what I mean where it's like we're giving Mr. X his time, but like I don't know. He's not even that bad. He's not that bad. He has some funny jokes. But like I don't know. Mr. X was always so mid.
Like I liked him as a
Yeah.
character, but like as a villain, like or antagonist, I thought he wasn't that as great. But I do think like
Then he was fun though.
yeah, he was still a fun character, but like if they I don't want to say if his only appearance was Escape to Amphibia, then it would have been better. But I feel like if we had less of him, and then Escape to Amphibia was like where he was the most prominent, I think he would have been better received.
He- yeah, like well, okay, Mr. X is weird. Like Mr. X is weird because like in like when I see like season 3 reviews and stuff, like Mr. X is like all over the place. People either hate him or they love him. There's no like in between. Usually with him, it's so weird. He's the weirdest character, but like yeah, it's I don't know. I think my thing with Mr. X is like I think it would have been cool if they actually had him show up earlier. Like I like the idea like I liked how Escape to Amphibia made it so then all of like and the Planters like adventures on like in LA like lead up to Mr. X getting more resources. Like that's awesome. That's a cool way of like that's great continuity. Like Ray has been doing a good job with that. And it's like I think it would have been neat to see Mr. X like earlier, like figuring out where the planters are at or what they're up to or something before we get him like as a villain. Like just some way or like have him interact with Anne. Mr. X and Anne don't know each other for like until like the last time they meet. And you can say that about the core, but like at least with the core it's like different. Like
Yeah,
but
because
like
like
with
no, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, like it's Mr. X, like he has like no like thematic thing to add to the show. He's not like adding more to like Anne's arc as a character that like no one else could do. He's like he doesn't know Anne at all. Anne doesn't know him pretty much. And like Mr. X only knows Anne's name till Escape to Amphibia. Like he's just so mid. He's so whack. Like I don't know, man.
Because I know you said you want him to like show up early. Like maybe he should have showed up earlier, but like I know they were kind of like they wanted to keep like Cloakbot as the because keep in mind like Cloakbot like happened and then Mr. X happened. Like when Cloakbot
Yeah.
dies is when Mr. X gets involved, but like I don't know, like
Yeah, he's just kind of all right, and like even like the biggest like I don't know, it just feels like I would have liked if Mr. X doesn't even need to be involved like attack in this first half of 3A. He just needs to be like trying to solve the mystery of these guys like a little bit. I mean, honestly, like I kind of like the fandom going like the fandom went in the whole like missing like child thing with the parents and stuff, and they were like thinking Mr. X is gonna be involved in that. I wouldn't have minded that. I would have liked that more, even though it like wouldn't do that much. But like I would have liked that more than like what we got in the show. Like I don't know, is Mr. X is just whack. He's the most mid character ever. He's so boring. He gets one good episode and that's it. That's all he's got, and it's not even that great. You could have Andreas fulfill the same role, and he would do it 100 times better. He would do it 1,000,000,000 cajillion billion times
I
better.
mean
Darcy could do like
we already saw that with
whatever.
like with Little Froggy Christmas, but yeah.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm ranting about
yeah,
Mr. X
so
for too
we had
long.
Mr. X.
Like,
We also had yeah, I know. We'll go into Cloakbot. That'll calm me down.
yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah,
Cloakbot, you know, doesn't he's not as personable as the other villains, but like he does carry
yeah.
that Terminator relentless killing machine kind of vibe. And
Which
I
was like crazy for Amphibia to have. Like you wouldn't think like in season one, like, oh by the way, we're gonna get like a Terminator episode where like an entire Terminator parody in one episode. Like
I do like they kind of explain
nuts.
that like he shouldn't cause too much collateral damage because of I think Anders didn't want him to raise too much suspicion just so that about like the invasion or whatever. So you kind of had to be a bit
Yeah.
subtle. But then you know as the attempts go on, and then when Anders gives him that like that ultimatum, the bomb in his chest, then
Like Cloakbot doesn't care.
yeah
Like
he
he's just like, I gotta kill Anne. Like it's not about the mission anymore. It's about his life. Like that was so cool. Like Cloakbot was a really like he doesn't have like a ton of personality or anything, but he's like adding to Anne's story. Like Anne is trying to like hide everything that happened in Amphibia and what's going on, and you have this villain who like consistently shows up and causes problems where Anne can't hide all this Amphibia stuff anymore until it all like combust. And it's like, and you have Anne as a character who's like almost like 3A is fun because it's a lot of Anne like kind of relearning her lessons in the show, where like Anne learned what like how to be responsible in seasons 1 and 2, but 3 is fun because it's how like it's her changing her mentality of responsibility and kind of learning how to be like how to manage being responsible now that she has to like save the world, get back to Amphibia, keep track of her frog family. So you have like Cloakbot who's creating like conflict in that field. Like Anne, like for example, will like overwork herself and not sleep at the right time, and that'll cause her to like mess up and like fight at the museum. Like so, Cloakbot gets to punish like her for that, or like she like tries to skip out on the temple frogs, and then like Cloakbot comes and punishes that too. Like Cloakbot's adding to Anne's arc as a character. He's like adding to the show, and even like with Frobo, like when it's like established that the robots may have souls, like Cloakbot is like legitimately scared for his life. Like he's like it's not like perfectly in line, but like still like self preservation is the thing in Cloakbot. Like he still is like he's feeling fear, like so which connects to that episode too. And it's just in general, like Cloakbot was like fun. I really like them. Like he could have just been like a regular like 1 episode villain, but like they did a pretty good job with Cloakbot. Even when he has like less personality than like Mr. X, he's adding more to like the conflict of Anne and her parents, Anne as a character, and like even to like certain ideas of the show. So like Cloakbot's like awesome. I like him a lot. He was a genuine surprise of season 3. I didn't expect, but he was really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, you kind of covered everything about Cloakbot. Try and think. There's also Jetty, but Jetty is really just there.
Just this combo with Mr. X.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we also had like that crazy Doctor Frakes.
Oh yeah, Dr. Franks. I forgot about her.
I mean,
She was like,
I get I think the best part about her was that she was voiced by Cree Summers.
yeah,
Yeah, she was
yeah.
great.
I don't have much else to say. Yeah.
And then I guess we can talk about Andrus and the core.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
Like, yeah.
I feel like because Andrus we kind of talked a lot about in the core and the king podcast recording and in the all in recording. So if you want to hear like longer versions of what we're talking about here, you should listen to that. Um, I'm trying to think of like a clever way of like talking about Andrus as a character. Like Andrus is a great villain.
Yes. Andreas, like, in a way, I feel like Andreas is like the perfect representation of the show. Sometimes, well, not the perfect representation, but like I feel like Andreas adds to everything in the show. Like he adds to the lore, he adds to the themes, he adds to a lot of the characters' arcs. He's adding like he he feels like this like integral like piece to the puzzle of Amphibia. And it's crazy because we only get him like in season 2. Like he's not even in season 1. And like Anne and Andreas don't get like a lot of beef with each other beyond like True Colors and some stuff in season 3, like in 3A. But like it feels like he's always like this puzzle piece to the show that like you never knew was missing, but when he shows up and like by the end of the show, you can't really think of Ibia like as like without Andreas. He really is like this core puzzle piece to like the entire show. Like he handles the themes of friendship. He handles the themes of change. Like he adds to Anne's story and gets to be a foil to her. Like it Andreas is so good. Keith David is always like doing a great job. So like yeah, Andreas is like he is a such a big character, literally like such a big character to unpack. But he has so much depth to him because the show does such a good job of like keeping Andreas sympathetic, but also Andreas is a huge like asshole. He's a big jerk all the time. Like he's never like at the end of the show, Andreas is never redeemed. And like Andreas, to a certain degree, he regrets his actions, but he also likes being a bad guy at the same time. But also like you have sympathy for the character because he doesn't want to do all this like conquering stuff, but he also like doesn't take responsibility of his actions. And then has his relationship with Leaf, and now it has with the core. It's so good. Leaf is I mean Leaf. Andreas is such a good character. Leaf is too. But like yeah, like he just Andreas is like everything to the show. He really is like the like almost like
The core of the show.
the crux of what. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He is the core of the show, which leaves the core in a weird place. But like, yeah,
Like, man, like, because yeah, in terms of like comedy and drama and like you have scenes where like Andrews can be like, okay, season two, he was very goofy, but you know there's like something underneath. Like
yeah,
even in the introduction to him was basically like the end of Marcy at the Gates, or he's like kind of like ominous, and then you cut to like his official intro in the Planners Check In, so you know there's like something like underneath the surface, like the layers to him, and once you do get all of that in true colors, like the personality we saw before doesn't go away, and I love that. It's not like
yeah.
he wasn't hiding his personality, like because sometimes you'll have villains where like they're completely different once they do like like once they do like
Or
their
like
their heel turn
heel
or
turn,
yeah
face turn. I forget what it is.
yeah
Face
like
heel turn.
face heel turn, like at least Anne just kind of like keeps his like personality, and like it's he's still like a funny guy, he's just evil. Like
Yeah, like I was so scared about that. Like in True Colors, I'm like even in True Colors, like Andrews is still like having a good time. Like when he's like calling out Marcy, he's like having a smile on his face. Like like or like when Anne like actually challenges him, like okay, he's like all right, let's have some fun, let's go, let's get it. Like he's ready to have a good time. Like Andreas is like he feels like almost like the tone of season three, where like he can just instantly jump back to being funny and then being serious. The tone of the show. There we go. Like it he he's that perfect balance of not being like yeah, he's having fun being evil, but he never like I don't know, like the core of his character is still intact from season two, and I love that.
mhm.
Like they could have easily just made him boring, generic evil, but they didn't do that, and I was like, thank God.
And
So good.
what's even better is that when we get the flashback with young Andrews, like Zeno Robin, am I saying his name right? Zeno Robinson.
Yeah, you're saying it right.
Like he was like you couldn't believe that like that kid or that guy ends up becoming like Anderson present day. Like especially like once everything goes wrong, like basically like young Andrews, like his whole world like flips upside down in like a day or like 2 days or however, like in such a short time span. He loses like everything, and that gives like so much context to like True Colors. Like when you rewatch it again, it's like
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I think it's like it's like Andrews as a character is like I don't know. Keep going, Thumb. I'm just agreeing with you. You're right.
No, like, I mean, we can also talk about like Aldrich, like Andrew's dad, like,
Yeah.
because like young Andrews is like Anne kind. Okay, I know you could compare Andrews to like any of the girls, and you'd be correct. It's just that like because Anne is
Would
like
you
his,
be?
yeah,
Like, wait, would Marcy really like count? Like, I don't know what you compare them to. Like, I don't really
actually,
like Sasha. Like, I can get Sasha, but it's like
like Anne is the strongest
I don't
foil
know.
to Andrews, like without a doubt. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. 100%.
it's like because Andrews like back when he's with Leaf and Beryl, like their friendship is strong. Like he describes it as like strong and true and whatever. And Aldrich is like, oh, that doesn't last forever. Let me show you something that does. And that's the actual quote. And then we get the core, and it's like that's such like a cold line. Like
Yeah, yeah. And it's like I think what's cool about Aldrich too is like you like one thing I liked was that like Aldrich's relationship with the core. Aldrich is very much like the core is awesome. It's badass. Like you should listen to it. Like and like when the core like tells Aldrich like, "Hey yo, like don't listen to that frog girl." Aldrich's like, "Yeah, I agree," and just like repeats it like what it wants word for word. But like with Andreas in the core, it's like different. Like Andreas is like when like Andrews is like willing to argue with the core, and the core is like, "Shut up, idiot." And the core and Andrews is like, "Okay, I guess." Like, pretty much like everything that it wants. So like you can always tell that like that part of Andreas that like said like, "Hey yo, like maybe we shouldn't like cause genocide or whatever," is still like is still very much there out of the character, but it's like almost been beaten down and like ignored so much by his relationship with Aldrich and the core that like it like Andrews like when he disagrees, he's just like, all right, whatever. Like when the core says like LOL no, Andrews is just like, okay, GG's I guess.
yeah, I'm not
And
gonna.
like
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
oh, and I was gonna say like that's great too because like Andreas, what's fun about Andreas and like the core in general is that like Andreas actually has like the power to like not like to disagree with the core. He could just take off the crown and like just stab the damn thing. Like he's big enough to do it. Like, but he always like when Marcy's about to get possessed, right? Andrews is like, oh well, like there's nothing I can do, Marcy. GG's. That's a game. Like, like he can't. Like even though he totally can, like he has the ability to stop it. Like if he really wanted to, but Andrews never really takes responsibility of his actions. That like he feels like he has no power to change anything, even though he totally does. Like I love that stuff. Like it's Andrews is so like complicated as a character, and he's so good. He's so good.
Hmm. Yeah, we kind of. It's kind of like a Cliff Notes summary of like Andrews. Like I feel like yeah, I don't know what else to say because like I don't want to go like into like every single
I think
dynamic.
I will say I think Andreas gets like the perfect amount of screen time. He feels like a character who like always like throughout season three, Andreas is pretty much in like every like 1 to 2 episodes,
Hmm.
like every other episode. He's like always around causing problems for the girls. Like it's I don't know, like he has like the perfect amount of screen time where he's not there for too much, but he does enough to be important to like all three of the girls as characters. Well, Sasha a little less. Well, kinda sorta. Like it depends on how you think about it. Um, so like, I don't know. So good.
Yeah, because like I get why he wasn't in season one. Like we weren't ready for Andrews in season one. Season two introduced like they introduced him at the right time. Like they get to Utopia, this is him, and then yeah, once it feels like when we get Andrews in like true, we meet Andrews. It's like we get the onion, we get to True Colors. We kind of like cut the onion in half to show what's like you, you kind of like
Layers.
you kind of immediately open him up, and then throughout season three you kind of like peel back the layers and like get like the context to like how he got to where he is.
Yeah.
Like True Colors is kind of
Yeah,
like a
100%.
like a preview. Like when you see like his friend, like we get like the picture, the portrait, and then that stuff like kind of like all adds up in the background, so you kind of know what went like you don't know what went down, but you know like the general like gist of it. Like okay, he had a falling out.
Mm, yeah. Which is funny because I heard one take out there that like by technicality, the Corn the King isn't a plot important episode because you kind of already know. It sounds so stupid, but like because you kind of already know the events that happen. Like we just get a more expanded form of it. It's not true because we still need to establish like everything with the character. But like it's just like by technicality plot wise it doesn't matter because like nothing happens in the episode itself, but like we're given information. I don't know. I've seen that take before. I always thought that was funny. But yeah, anyways.
Like Chuck did post like a tweet from someone, uh, L Francis or at Ellen Moav, or how like Amphibia kind of always sacrifices surprise for impact, and, and yeah, it does pay off because like
Yeah.
there's something satisfying about like all those little hints they left in the back. Not even hints, they kind of show us like visually what went down, and even True Colors like he mentions, oh, the box was stolen. Sorry, my friends turned their back on me. The box was stolen, and then everything like shut down. Like your golden age came to an end. You kind of know, you kind of get it. But then yeah, just
Yeah.
seeing it all like go down is just nice to see in that
We
flashback
need to see
episode.
that.
Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah,
satisfaction of
we
seeing
need to
that.
see it
Yeah.
because like yeah, because even with the core, we need like because Aldrich is the core pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Like he says exactly what the core wants. Like he Aldrich is literally the core. Like even in Marcy's like little like dream sequence, Aldrich represents the entirety of the core. So like we're getting characterization off the core and its mentality and thought process. So like that's also important too. So like it's because like with Andreas and the core's like dynamic, like we need to understand like why does Andreas so like dedicated to this thing? Like why does he like need to serve it specifically? And then like we figure out like oh like with his dad and like he's almost like kind of peer pressure into listening to the core. And I like how it's like not just his dad. I think a lot of like, I noticed with discussions of the character that gets mixed up where it's like Andreas is just pleasing his dad. No, he's pleasing like the entirety of his family line and society. Like he has a lot of pressure going on, and the core adds to that. Like Andreas feeling like a failure isn't just to his dad; it's to his entire nation, his people, and like he almost has this ghost that haunts his every move. That's always watching him, always judging him. Literally, it's in the crown. Like so, you need to know that pressure Andreas is at to like serve his people, even if it's like a plan that's like not good or bad, like possessing Marcy. Like you know, the core doesn't need to do that, but it just wants to. So like, like it, it's like I don't know. It's one of those things where Andreas has to like. It's one of those like you need to know that pressure Andreas is on to like do this plan and to serve his nation. And his nation is literally in his head. Like always judging him all the time. So that's very important to get right out of the character. So yeah, so many layers.
Yeah, I do wonder like how long after everything fell apart, how long did because Aldrich eventually went into the core, but like
Yeah.
we just don't know when that happened. Like, did that? Because like it'd be not. It'd be kind of funny and also kind of like tragic and insane if the box gets stolen and then Aldrich is like, "Well, I'm going into the core. Have fun dealing with this, Andrews. It's your fault." Like,
I think he totally did. I feel like that's totally what happened. Like I feel like Aldrich would do that. He would totally be like, "Yo, like Andrews, you are fucked. You're an idiot. Haha, I'm going to the core. Good luck. GG's." Like
that's
like
like the recurring line, the through line for tonight's
yeah,
fight.
exactly.
GG.
Yep. Like but like yeah. I think that is what happened though. Cause like Aldrich is like very quickly wanting to get into the core in that episode. Like he's barely given Andrews any time to figure anything out. Like you think he helped them for this? Like like Aldrich was immediately about to just give up. He was about to like just be like, oh well, like we lost the box, it's over. Like so
Well,
the core stepped in. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he
yeah,
let him take it.
I imagine like he felt like he wanted to get into the core before he died.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's not like implied that like Aldrich is sick or anything. Like it's not like
Yeah, he's
like
just
you can
old.
definitely
Yeah, like,
yeah, he's just old and crusty.
but yeah, like I never. Yeah, that's an interesting thing to think about. But I guess we can go into the core. Like Darcy, we kind of talked about Darcy already, so I'm not.
Yeah, I think like yeah, we talked about her in detail with Sasha and stuff. So like
But basically, like,
Darcy
yeah,
is
basically the core
yeah.
is more of an idea. He's a it's a concept.
Yeah, like oh my god, I remember the O and Y episode you guys had, and like PC wasn't there, but like Nick like kind of paraphrased what he said, where it's like the core is like this embodiment of like of a societal evil in Amphibia, like that's like stopping the path, like stopping what's the word, like I forget the exact quote. It was something like the core is like this representation of like societal evil of Amphibia that like is bringing back the past just for the sake of it. Like it doesn't have to, but like it would rather let Amphibia like die and be destroyed and use it for its resources rather than actually like adapt this like system. Like the core is like I will agree that I do wish the core was like more active, but also like I don't know, it never bothered me that much. I always think it'd be cool, but it's like I don't know, like I feel like the core like being this embodiment of a past society that like stops the progression of Amphibia's like this stops the progression of Amphibia both in its past and its present is just like that it was originally designed to help Amphibia progress and move forward by keeping its most important like scientists and leaders intact. Like that's so interesting. Like that it stops its progress because it's trying to maintain the past. Like it's because you see that in like in the core and the king, right? When Aldrich's like arguing against Leave, he's like you said like those cowardly alms like the stones are like our sacred birthright, blah blah blah. That sounds like a really like old mindset that Leaf didn't even think about. Leaf and Beryl don't even like consider like the gems to be like this like their God-given right to conquer and rule, right? That's a very like old mentality used by the core to stop like Leaf's like argument. So it's like even there, like the core is like always like stopping Amphibia from progressing. Even if like Amphibia is gonna like clearly like get destroyed, the core is like, whatever. Who cares? We're immortal. We'll just leave. Like, we'll like Amphibia is gonna die. Like, whatever. Who cares? Like, because they're immortal, they can get to do whatever they want. So it's like, I don't know, like this. It's really. I just think like from a world building perspective, having a character, having the core be like a representation of this like fucked up, twisted like cast of Amphibia is just like it's just so fun. Like there's kind of an argument to be made that like the girl should have handled like Amphibia itself as like a world should have handled the core more than like Anne, Sasha, and Marcy, because like the core still plays into their character arcs well. Like it's just that like I don't know. It's
Like I feel like because like Chuck posted the quote here. It's like themes like becoming your best self are expressed early on, so the villain being Amphibia's worst self clicks like a crucial key falling into place. It's like because Anne's the
yeah
main character and she's the one like becoming her best self, it does make sense for her to kind of like all the other characters they're doing stuff too. Like all the amphibians are fighting against Andreas so that well at least they fight against Andreas like the more like ground level threat. And then because the core is like more higher concept, it makes sense like Anne is like the character that embodies like everything we've kind of like all the themes we're covering. So she's like she's their
yeah
champion. So like she's the show's champion being like sent out against like to like overcome the antithesis of what the show's trying to tell you.
yeah, and like even like I think I think like what's the word like I think for me, something I liked about the core is that it wasn't like just a super smart hive mind. Like the core is like really emotional. It like it's super react like the plan to destroy Amphibia with the moon isn't like this logical like choice. It's very reactive. Like even like the core like is about to kill Anne, and it doesn't even think about like, oh wait, if we kill Anne, is that gonna do anything? Anne has to mention that to it. Like it didn't even question itself there. Or like I don't know. I like that the core is like a lot more human than it tries to make itself out to be. It acts like this like badass, like awesome super AI that's like super duper intelligent, but it's not that. It's like this reactive, like almost like zombie of Amphibia of like that still like drags it down in the present day. Like I don't know. That's like I like that. I like that the core is like more human, less AI. It's more like reactive, impulsive, like mentality rather than like super intelligent, smart AI. Because it doesn't really fit the show, if I'm being honest. Like, if that makes sense. Like the core, like being like just like
Yeah, because it's not an AI.
super intelligent.
It's a bunch of a bunch of guys in a box.
Yeah, and like not to get too much into fandom stuff, but the core is always characterized in so many fics I've read, and this was probably like maybe because I was reading a lot of stuff pre ONY, but even post ONY, like Olivia, you know what I mean? Like the core is always characterized as like a super intelligent hive mind, and it's like that's not the point of it. Like in the show, in the show, it's like the exact opposite. Andreas views the core that way, right? Andreas views this as like is its greatest creation, as this like peak of its civilization, but like that's exactly what it's not. Like Andreas cannot realize what the core really is until like it starts trying to destroy Amphibia itself. and then it like, or like when it possesses Marcy, it makes like Andreas has to question like his entire mentality and what he's been fighting for, like thanks to the core. The core makes him question that. So like, what was I going with this? Like the point is that like the core should not fit Andreas's point of view of it. So if it is like a super intelligent hive mind that like it doesn't really work towards the character, Andreas has to be wrong about the core, right? So like I don't know, I just noticed that a lot. I'm I might be a little too critical of fandom content, and that's like my apologies if it is, to anyone who's watching this. Like it's just like I don't know. I've noticed like the super smart AI thing be how the core is characterized all the time. And even in like fandom talk, we act a lot of people can act that way. Where like I don't know. It's just interesting to see that difference. I always wondered why that was the case. Like
I think it's
why the core was like that.
because we don't really know what the core is until season 2 and until season 3, and because we had like
Three,
the
yeah.
prophecy like going on, there's always kind of like this, like I thought about it too, like I kind of thought the core was some sort of like cosmic horror, like
Yeah.
given form, just because of, like all the prophecy stuff and the gems are the most magical, like I guess part of the show, like magical object. So like the core
Yeah.
was like maybe like its opposite. But then, once we get the reveal, it's more like a manufactured false god, or like attempting to play god role.
God. Yeah.
And so like, I think that because that comes kind of late into the series, like it we had years of people kind of like treating it like, before the core was called the core, it was called the
It was the
night.
night.
Yeah, just because of that
Yeah.
prophecy.
Yeah.
So I think it's mostly based off that. And then once we found out what the core was, it kind of like, it still kept its kind of like ominous presence, even though we got like the backstory for it. But I do like
Yeah.
how the cores. What was I gonna say? I was gonna talk about the with when Mother Olm describes it as like this unnatural thing. Like she doesn't know what the core is, I think. She just describes it as something that
Yeah.
like,
They talk about it. They talk about it very vaguely. I don't think they know exactly what the core is.
yeah, but the way she describes like something that doesn't sleep or die, like that, I think I do like how that kind of like returns the, it gives the core more of like a, I think the show tries to point out like how unnatural this thing is, like without while staying within like the demographic it's targeted to. Like you get stuff brought up like, oh, like we put all of our smartest greatest minds into this one thing, and we called it the core. Doesn't really carry the same weight. It didn't carry, like, it was still effective, but then when Mother Olm is like saying like, oh, this thing doesn't sleep or die, like, and she's,
Does not sleep and will not die. Like
yeah,
oh
she like
shit. Like
she kind of describes like the disgusting, like Andrews describes the core as like matter of fact what it is, and then Mother Olm kind of like talks about like it in like a disgusting way of what it is. And then
yeah. Cause like
Olivia Nunez like
yeah.
at least shows us what it's doing to Marcy.
Yeah, yeah, because like Andreas's word is like supposed to be wrong. Like Andreas is like, oh my god, the core is like the most badass,
Yes, yeah,
awesome,
yeah, like,
coolest thing in the
yeah, like you,
world,
yeah,
guys.
yeah, it's
Like,
great, and like it's like epic or something. But then yeah, Mother Olm
yeah,
describes that as like more like disgusting and like unnatural. Yeah, I just like
yeah,
that stuff about the core. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
the
it's
points you
like
brought up in Pack. It's like it's not the perfect thing and is just as flawed as like and like even yeah, and it's like oh like the court doesn't know either like
yeah, that was so cool. Like that one moment, like I love that. Like Anne figured it out instantly. She's like, "Wait, hold on. They don't know shit about how the gems work. We could use that." Like again, the core is not like super dupe. It's not a supercomputer. That like I love that. Like it made it so Andreas is like when he's talking, he's spewing bullcrap. Like it's it's so good because like in Olivia and Yunan, that possession scene, right? The Andreas is saying one thing, but the show is showing us another. Like that's so good. That's so good. Right, such good writing. Like most shows would be like afraid to do that. Like nah, that's bullcrap. Hold on, let me not do that. But like in the sense of like what's the word? I feel like a lot of shows would like tell the viewer exactly like how the core, like, how they're supposed to view the core. Like they wouldn't have Andrus describe it in that way. Like if that makes sense.
mhm.
Like I like that like the audience has like to figure it out. If like it gives like the audience the opportunity to figure it out like the core like Andrews and what he's saying about the core is not true. Like the core is not like some greatest awesome beautiful creation. It's this fucked up twisted like unnatural being that shouldn't exist. Like and even like the possession, right? Which is like the core trying to like at least how Matt described it, like it was like the core trying to gain life again. It is so like twisted and messed up. Like the the violence of the scene is important. Like like it's not like the core is like naturally gaining life. It's like forcing it onto someone else like in order to make it work. It's not supposed to like be be like I don't know. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying though?
yeah,
Like
I
it's
know what you
supposed to
mean. Like, and then
naturally yeah.
even at the end where it's like, oh, if I can't win, no one can, and then tries to nuke Amphibia.
Yeah. Like it's not irrational. Like that is not like the logical plan. Like the logical plan for the core would have been like to plan this out for thousands of years, have like a million backup plans. Like if it died, you know what I mean? Not have the stupid wire for Darcy, so he could just like that would have made sense. But the core is just like just do, bro. Like it just go. Like it's very like it's very reactionary and impulsive. And it's like I just love that. That's like I've never like again, fan talk a little bit. I've never read a fic or anything that like goes into that. Like it's always like supercomputer core. Which is fine. That's still interesting. But it's like I like the show's interpretation of it. I thought that was it was so good. Like, yeah. I
Yeah, I think we covered everything.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a good time to wrap up. Like this has been we've covered I think basically we've we probably missed one or two minor antagonists. I think we've covered
Like
um
Robert Otto, like forgot
oh
about him, but
yeah.
yeah, forgot about him.
He was fun.
Like
He was a fun guy.
yeah,
He
yeah,
should he should have showed up in the
he had a fun
finale,
meme.
but
For real. Ridiculous. Travesty. Terrible. He never came back.
man, I can't believe I forgot about Robert Otto. But yeah, like that covers. If we missed one or two villains, like the only villain in this show that I kind of despised was that creepy guy from Bizarre Bizarre, but that's about it. Like
Oh yeah.
that guy had a punchable face. But that concludes this recording. Thank you for listening, and we'll hope you enjoy the next one. Say goodbye, Impact.
Peace, everybody.
See ya.